Have you ever had a near-death experience? Or perhaps someone you know may have had a near-death experience? Well, if so, we would love to hear your story and have you as a guest on our podcast. For more information, visit NDE.world. Again, that's NDE.world. We would love to hear your story.
Welcome to the NDE World Podcast, where we explore the magical, mystical, and spiritual world of near-death experiences. And now, Ashton Lewis and Daphne Lynn.
Welcome back to the NDE World Podcast. I am your host, Ashton Lewis. In the studio with me today, I have my lovely hostess, Miss Daphne Lynn. And how are you today, Miss Daphne Lynn?
I'm doing quite well. Thank you so much for asking. How are you today?
Absolutely fantastic. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Yay! Yeah, so today is a good subject. It's about the whole world of animals, the animal world, and especially those like we call pets, ones that become family members and things like that. And, we get so used to these loving little creatures, and they, like us, have to transition and move on. So, okay, for those of you who are new, welcome to the show. Those who are returning, welcome back. And don't forget to go to the NDE World Podcast website, and the address is nde.world. Okay, for more information on all the episodes and podcasts and things like that. So let's jump into today's subject, and it's on pets. Miss Daphne, how are you doing today? You're sitting over there just ready to really, I can tell you just ready to just to jump into
in,
this.
Get my boots on. I'm ready. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. So why don't we just go ahead and jump right into it, because we do, have a lot of people out there who have pets. Okay. Don't forget to stick around to the end of the episode, because Daphne's going to share some actual really good references, some actual good books, I guess, that will actually help you in case you have lost a pet or a loved one or anything like that. And she will actually give you those references to those books, right? I think you got some books you said you wanted to share with, some references?
I found some really good references for pets in the afterlife from the reader reviews.
Okay,
so
perfect.
I'll have that for you at the end of the episode. And
awesome.
For those that like to want to read more up on it, I'll get those to you at the end of the episode.
Beautiful, beautiful. I can't speak for everyone, but it seems to me for the most part, well, a lot of times when you say pets, people think, cats, dogs, your basic kind of little pet animals, but you don't really think about your, and they kind of refer to that, like you said, like the fur babies, but we also talk about some people have snakes and lizards and
frogs. I mean, they have the amphibians and
reptiles and, so there are all different types of pets, so they're not just
even from
fur
the wild
babies.
kingdom.
Absolutely, and they're all the same, okay? Whether they are of the wild or whether they are of, domesticated, creatures, these are all fellow souls. They are fellow beings here on the earth. And the proper view of animals, from my understanding, is brothers and sisters. Would you like to comment on that before we really jump into that? Because from what I'm understanding, even, Jesus himself, Yeshua, like in the Nazarenes now, these are, the animals are our brothers and sisters, and they are all part of God's creation. They are all part of life as we know it. We are all one with the animals. If you maybe touch base on that.
Yeah, I mean, it is, if you are a Bible believer, you believe in the Bible, that it is the Word of God, then throughout the Bible, it is mentioned that animals are in heaven, that all souls return to the Creator. So, taking it to there, that's what the Bible says, and tying in with the gospel of the Nazarenes. I mean, we're all one. We're all fellow existing on this planet.
Yeah, which makes a lot of sense when animals become family members. They're animals, okay, and they are fellow souls, they're fellow creatures, fellow beings. But as brothers and sisters, that's why it's easy for them to come in and adopt us, and we adopt them, and we get those bonds going, because they are fellow beings. You can look at them as your brothers and sisters. Another thing, once you start looking at them as your brothers and sisters, you might want to think twice about, which ones you want to make as pets, which ones you want to kill and butcher and throw on your plate. When you get to a proper level of spiritual maturity and realize that all creation has life, all creation is life, and all things have a purpose, and they all are our brothers and sisters, then you no longer have that desire to butcher and eat your brother and sister. You start moving more to the original, more of a vegetarian lifestyle, which is what our human bodies are
designed for.
Look
at our
and
teeth.
function at the highest, maximum potential. You have to eat live food that Mother Earth gives us. That is a whole different episode. Let's jump into today's topic. Would you like to go ahead and just maybe start with the actual question, and then we'll take it from there?
Okay, sure. It says, I just lost one of my cats today. I had her for 9 years. I found her dead under my desk. I want to know, are there dogs and cats in heaven? Please, only truth. Thank you.
Well, so this lady had lost her family member, her cat, as of 9 years. I said she had it for 9 years, right?
Yeah, that's a long time. I mean, I think about just having our cat for the, few years that we've had her and how attached we are to her now.
You get so attached to these
How
little
much
guys
more
and gals.
attached the longer you go.
I know.
Yeah.
Well, it says here that she found the animal dead under her desk. Okay. First of all, let's set up a disclaimer here. Let's kind of maybe, just for perspective, just throwing it out there for you guys, let's kind of address the word death. Okay. She found this animal dead. Now, if you find something dead, or if you look at something as dead, that's going to give you a perspective, okay? And it's going to give you a certain meaning, and it's going to take you to a certain place, all right? Mm-hmm. Now, if we can take that same word there, that word death and dead, and start to understand that there's no such thing as death, okay? That everything is constant, and all we do is transition, and life keeps on going. So when you hear us on this episode, we'll talk about the word transition. We don't really use death a lot, so
Right.
we say transition a lot, So
Yeah.
when you hear transition, then you'll know what we're talking about. So if we say this lady, had this cat for 9 years, and one day the cat had transitioned, you'll know what we're talking about. Mm-hmm. Anyway, her question is, are there any dogs and cats in heaven? Maybe there's something else we have to be careful of right there, is that duality, or the dualism of the heaven and hell, the split everything on the other side. Like, if there's earth here, and then there's heaven, and then there's hell. But and really kind of open up our minds to understand that everything, all is one. All is source,
Right.
all is what we call God, all is that. And then when you transition over, you just transition and keep on going. So whether it's that bliss, or whether, if you want to call it heaven, that's all fine. That's all cool. So that's another thing, people are kind of looking at, and maybe they were raised a certain way, or I was raised, in the Christian world myself as well, for 50 years plus. Mm-hmm. And I don't want to give my age away, but
You just did.
I
Too
know.
late.
Oh man! But anyway, yeah, and it's a beautiful, it's a beautiful message, Christianity. I love it. I love the message, and I love the changes that it does make in people's lives. And you do have to be careful, because there is that dark side of it, and there are people that do abuse things, and use things for the even more destructive ways,
Right.
in all ways,
Yeah, I've got to where I try to say the afterlife. I mean, even though life is still continue on, life after this existence.
Yeah.
So the afterlife of this existence. So when I say afterlife, I'm meaning after this. If it's
Avatar type body,
the avatar, the
shell.
machine, the flesh suit.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and look at some of these comments, Miss Daphne. Would you like to go ahead and read that first answer there?
Sure,
first
yes.
response?
This actually ties in with a lot of my belief system now. It says, yes, all living beings are part of the same universal loving God consciousness. We must think bigger than just physical beings and think about energy instead. Everything, quote unquote, is energy, and everything, quote unquote, is connected. It's all so much bigger and greater than our human minds can fully comprehend. It is so beautiful.
Wow, that comment is beautiful. Would you like to
It is.
comment on that beautiful comment?
Yeah, that's what I was saying. I mean, literally looking at it, I'm seeing this is my now belief system.
Me as well, by the way. Let me
You know,
put
yeah.
that in there, yeah.
And it's beautiful to think that, we are all connected. We will be connected with our loved ones on the other side, whether it be an animal or a family member. We'll all be connected on that other side.
Absolutely. Very well said. Now, when you start to look at things from a oneness perspective versus what we call a dualism or dualistic perspective, most of us are conditioned in the duality of the dualistic world. It's us against them, us and them, us and the animals, if you want to, within this context, if you want to, say that. But everything we look at is outside of us. And the reality is, no, we're all part of the same oneness. We're all connected to that one source.
Oh, yeah.
So if we can look at, instead of that's an animal, that's something separate from me, but look at it, oh wow, that is the same source I'm from. We're all connected to the source, and since we're connected to the source, and source never dies, then what happens when these animals transition? Guess what? They go back to that source. You see?
Right. I've even read about the trees. Now, you think the tree is just a tree. There's nothing to it. It's just something growing on the side of the road or on a property somewhere. But it's alive. It's growing. It has some kind of spirit, whether you want to look at it as a soul or not. It is a spiritual being because it's alive. It's growing.
Right.
Now, I have read that in their growth, that trees, they sense when, if they're going to be cut down and that life ended. So they start letting that spirit go back down into the earth. They don't feel it like we do. I mean, but they are aware of us connecting with them.
Oh, and I mean, NDEs, pardon the interruption, that people come
Yes.
back and, just talking to a tree, hugging a tree.
Yes,
And
exactly.
actually, these trees were in the actual,
Responding.
what we call that heavenly realm or that near-death experience on the other side, the afterlife, like you said. And these trees, they responded with love, and also
Exactly.
you've got to
yes.
understand and get into that oneness mindset. I think to really, once you start getting into that oneness mindset, it's game on.
It is.
You
It
can
really
really
is.
start to see things for really what they and it makes you look at things different.
It really does, because I'm telling you, when I'm going down the road at work and I notice trees and I'm drawn to different trees. I connect with them. We've got to stop looking at, it's just this or it's just that, and think, that's part of me. I'm part of it. That oneness, that connectedness that this person was commenting on. Everything is energy.
Right, absolutely, and good comment. And by the way, to go with that, like with pets, mainly, like with the context here, the pets are one. They are all one with us. So if pets are all this oneness with us, energy is energy, and everything is God, everything is all, everything is source, then absolutely the pets transition like us, and you will, just like you see your other family members, like Daphne said, your other friends and everything, you'll see them again.
Most definitely, yeah.
Next comment here says that when I had an NDE and went to heaven, the animals were just running around and roaming.
That reminds me of the Heaven is Real movie, where the little boy saw the animals in heaven.
I remember that.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
right.
So,
That's right. Now, you, pardon the interruption, Daphne, I just want to kind of throw in an actual comment there. Actually, I've actually looked at a lot of these comments on a lot of these areas where we get a lot of these questions and stuff from. And we do have I'm only making a comment from my perspective, okay? But I do see a lot of, I don't want to use the term headbutting for lack of words, but you do have a lot of, you have a certain group that'll come in, and I'm just going to put it right out there in your face, more of the biblical, I don't want to say indoctrinated, okay? But I'm going to use that term just for this description, because we don't, we're not partial here. We don't point fingers, and we're not bashers, so keep that in mind. But the religious people are saying, no, God, Jesus only died for people. He didn't die for animals. There are no animals in heaven, or animals aren't souls. Only humans are souls. And I'm talking about, and this jumped into tons and tons of questions back and forth So you've got that perspective as well, along with the NDE perspective of people who actually experienced it. So I just want to kind of get that out there.
Exactly. I mean, and taking it a little farther, for those that say that there are no animals in heaven, where did the horse come from that Jesus was coming back on, and all the army of horses behind the 4 horses?
Yeah, I mean, if you want to use the Bible for that kind of stuff, yeah.
Don't realize all the animal parts that are in the Bible.
And also Revelation, there's a lot of symbolism as well. So, but you really have to look at it from a different perspective. Like I said, but like the other person said, that oneness. And I think once you get that oneness going, you should be good. So I like this idea here, Daphne. It said this person actually, and another thing to throw in there, these are actual real experiences that we're actually getting these comments from, guys. So this is not something we're making up. But I love the point that this person had experienced it and actually saw all of these animals roaming and running and this and that. We've heard stories of pets coming up and greeting their owners or their masters, that they shared their lives with here on Earth. And also, let's throw this in there, Daphne. How about the telepathic communication? Now, a lot of people don't know this.
Just the same way as humans, that they actually communicate with you on the other side. That was in part of our other episodes that we've done on pets. So yes, most definitely, the communication is a whole lot different than it is here on this realm.
That's right. You get to communicate just like you do
actual
with people.
communication with
absolutely,
it that you understand.
Telepathic, right? So instead of the ruffs and the meows and the things like that over here on this side that we're communicating, of course, but it's we speak what we speak and they speak what they speak. However, on the other side, you will see your pet and you guys are going to be able to carry on conversations just like, we're carrying on right now, and everything's done telepathically from what I understand. All right, perfect. So let's go to this next one here. Would you like to comment that one there, Daphne?
It says, we are all energy, and as such, I'm totally sure we'll see them again in what we call heaven.
Okay, this really ties in with the other, some of the other earlier comments, again, that we are all energy. We're all that oneness. We're all what we call God, or the source. And this person here says that, and I like how they said it, I'm sure that we'll see them again in what we call heaven.
Exactly, yeah.
You see, so again, it goes back to that, well, we have to understand what is heaven and hell and these concepts. And, what if we just said the afterlife, or whatever comes next, So like that person said, they get it too. I like how they said it because they said, we'll see them again in what we call heaven.
Exactly.
So that gives it a little bit of different meaning.
Mm-hmm. And moving right along, it says, during my NDE, my dog was the first spirit to find me in the tunnel. Animal spirits present exactly the same as human ones and communicate the same via telepathically. There's no difference other than the role they played on Earth. You'll meet them again.
I love that.
We were just talking about that.
That's right.
Yeah.
So there are a few different really good points in there, Daphne. I tell you what, let's go ahead and do you want to go ahead and take the first one?
Yes, of course. The one thing that caught my attention was the person's dog greeting them in the tunnel.
Think about that.
I've always heard, and there's so many different experiences, they're different for everyone, but I've always heard that the greeting party was mainly after the tunnel or when they got into the other realm. Those that experienced the tunnel was on the other side, but this one was in the tunnel. So there's so much beauty. It was immediate that they connected. They didn't have to wait.
Wow. Yeah, they get you thinking, don't it? I mean, think about that.
Really
now,
does,
what if, but of course they didn't mention it in this particular one, but think about the dog or animal, any animal, coming and greeting this person in the tunnel itself and starting talking to him. Hey, John, look, it's me. Remember me? And you're like, what, huh? It's the dog talking to you or something. He's running up and to greet you. That'd be kind of a pretty wild experience, I would think. But he didn't really mention this particular one talking. But he is mentioning that the animal spirit is on the other side,
And
so
they communicate the same as humans do.
Yeah, it ties in with what we said earlier. So guys, remember that. You will be able to talk to these animals.
I like this. It says there's no difference other than the role they played on Earth. And you think about this, we are actually Schoolhouse Earth, we are playing roles. We get caught up in the, I'm this, I'm that, and you don't realize you're more than just this human physical body.
more than the role you're playing.
Exactly, yes.
This is
and there's so much beauty in that. If you can get past that point and realize, hey, this is just a little bitty micro spot in eternity that you will live because you are life, you are energy, you are spirit.
Yeah. And
You're
so
not
are
the
the animals.
the human.
That's the point. And so are the animals.
Exactly, yes.
You know, and you have to get this concept. And once you get this concept in your head, you don't have to use, like, say, for example, a lot of people like to use the Bible as a weapon, you know, and trying to make up stuff and to support a belief system where in reality is, no, just open up your mind. Just open up, broaden your mind, okay, and realize the world is so much bigger than what you think.
Rhetorical question here, but you said that, you know, that people use the Bible as a weapon. I've done so myself. What are weapons used for? To kill, to destroy. So you don't want to get into that mindset and use weapons.
Yeah. All right, this next comment says that I love this, all souls are equal. And by the way, folks, animals are souls. Back to I don't want to get sidetracked, but you mentioned the Bible earlier. The Genesis account right there in chapter 2 talks about clearly about how, you know, earlier it talks about, you know, God creating, I think 126 talks about, let's make man in our image, you know, and it goes on and talks about how he created man and formed him from the dust, you know, and blew that life force, and it became that living being there in chapter 2. A little bit further down, I think in 219, it says that he also did the same thing with the animals, and they are also, you know, he was forming them and bringing them to Adam's name, and, you know, and breathing that, you know, life in them, and they were also becoming living souls. Mm-hmm. So if you want to use the Bible, I mean, get to the roots, man, and really know what you're talking about before you start getting out and start bashing other people who may be a little bit more knowledgeable than you. Now, the point here is that all souls are equal. So if animals are souls, they're just as equal as we are as souls, as humans. You know, I love that comment.
We get into the mindset because we are intelligent, or supposed to be intelligent, that we are the only intelligent creation out there, and that's just not the case.
Oh, we have no clue.
That is just not the case.
No clue.
Yeah.
And it goes on, it says that hence the soul will reach its destination to the other dimension and might continue its journey. So all souls are equal, and all souls are on a journey, and these animals are on a spiritual journey, and they're your partners here on this run, and if they're here, you will see them on the other side. So treat them good, treat them right, treat them nice, and, you know, because you also get to see the harm and hurt that you've done to animals as well. So keep that in mind. And there are people out there like that. So.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So moving on along, Daphne, take the next one, please.
We are all made up of energy and spirit. They say when we pass away, our beloved pets and people are waiting for us.
Beautiful.
Straight and to the point.
Straight and to the point. And there's that synchronization of all these other people. Can you see what's resonating is they're all saying about the energy and the spirit. We're all one. We're all the same.
Right.
And when these animals, they say pass away here, but we say transition. Okay, when they transition, both pets and people will be waiting for us on the other side.
Yep.
And we hear that so often. So those of you who have lost a loved one or loved pet, all your pets out there, lovers, if you've lost them, you'll see them again. I mean, I really feel that. I believe everything within me. I believe that. Yeah. And it's almost a knowing. You know, once you know that you are all source and you all are one, and these are all one, then of course you know that these beings are going to transition. You know, makes sense. Would you like to take the next one?
These are all so in harmony together. I mean, that there's not a single atom in the universe that God did not give consciousness to. Therefore, we are all one family, and we all return to the same place, though some of us have to come back for more schooling. Your pet may even come back to you in a different form before this life is over, just to help facilitate that schooling. I have heard this before.
I have too.
Oh my gosh!
Would you like to comment on that? I mean, there's a lot of good points there to get you thinking.
Well, there's a couple of points that I mean, the schooling, I mean, I have known this for a while. When I first started hearing it, I'm like, what? No, it did not resonate. But now it does, after listening to multiple people with these experiences talk about Schoolhouse Earth. The first time I heard that term, I was like, what the heck? They're crazy. But now, I mean, you see the unity and unison in these NDEs with them stating that this is just Schoolhouse Earth. It's a play. We get caught up in the human role of it,
You
though.
have to learn firsthand on what it's like to do things. You can see it from a different perspective, like on the other side. You can see, but here you're jumping into the actual game. You know what it feels like to be a human. You know what it feels like to hurt, to love, to harm, to angry, to joy, to bliss, to all these things that we experience here in life, and all these things that we're going through daily, and all it's to help us to grow as souls.
Right, and I was watching a little video last night touching on this, that about Earth, that this is the hardest, most densest realm and universe dimension to come to, and those that come here are especially loved for them taking on the hardest mission in their existence on this life plane on Earth.
That's good to know.
Yeah. I mean, the guy went on to say that, you know, this is part of like the military, and it was just, you're going into battle coming to this Earth because of its density, because of everything the way it is in this dimension and universe.
Yeah, a lot of darkness here too, with the light, amongst the light. There's a lot of darkness.
Yeah,
here.
so once you transition past this realm and then you go back, I mean, you don't have to come back to this Earth plane. There are other dimensions and universes to go to. It's eternal out there.
I love that.
I mean,
I
yes.
cannot comprehend it. I really, I'm being honest with you.
I know, it's
got a
hard to,
human
yeah.
brain thinking.
Limited thinking, yeah.
Yeah, it's just what I've ever known. But when you start to really contemplate, no, you don't die. You never die. You are eternal. All things are eternal, and you can go to different learnings and dimensions, and you can even come back here and try a different incarnation. I mean, this stuff I didn't even believe in. You couldn't even talk to me about this stuff years ago.
No, I would have thought you was demonic.
Yeah, I would
and
throw
talking
out the
stuff
devil's
like,
got them. Yeah, absolutely, because I had
would've.
that heavy,
Heavy
biblical
indoctrination.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
but once you start looking into even the Bible, the roots of the Bible, the church, history, all of this stuff, and realize what's what, you start to realize that we're all living in a mirror. What we've been taught is bad may be stuff that's actually better for us, and what we taught is good may not be the best thing for us. So you have to be really careful with your mind. Right. You must protect your mind because there's a lot of people out there that wants it, and they want to do whatever they want to with us. You need to control that mind.
Oh, yeah. And I like the other part of this comment. This was my other point to this comment, was that your pet may even come back to you in a different form before this life is over, just to help facilitate your schooling.
That's right.
So I have heard that through listening to different things on YouTube, that pets, it's just part of your soul group.
Yeah.
And that they may take on a dog form. They may take on a cat form. I mean, just different roles in your life to help you experience and you stay on your life path for your purpose, for what your lesson was that you wanted to come here and experience and learn and grow.
Absolutely. Well said. Well said. And, and just a little example, like just even with the cat that we've got, like you said, we've only had her just a few years, and she's, I've never met an animal with so much love, and they all do, but, some of them are a little more feisty, or some a little more rougher, some are a little more, whatever. I mean, they have what we call the animalities,
Yes.
We got personalities, but that's not even a word. It's just something we tease around with the animalities, but the animals do have personalities or animalities. And, they feel things that we feel.
Yeah.
So this animal loves so unconditionally that I can't help but to love her back unconditionally and learn how to love more unconditionally. So that's something that I needed in my life as well.
Right.
So you can see how that maybe that animal as part of your soul group would come into your life to help you learn these lessons. And that's just kind of a little personal experience,
I mean, you really think about if these animals love unconditionally and you love them unconditionally, then why would they not be on the other side of the afterlife with us, if the creator, the God that's over there on that side is all loving and unconditional love, then why would something that's unconditionally loving here not be on the other realm with us?
Very good reasoning. Very good reasoning.
And I think one of the best points to this whole little comment was this. Okay, there is not a single atom in the universe that God did not give consciousness to. How loving is that?
How beautiful
that everything
is that?
has consciousness.
Consciousness.
Everything
is aware.
The trees, the plants, the stars, everything we see in our universe, in our realm of the earth plane has consciousness. So yes, I mean, wow. I mean, I am just so blown away by this.
Think about that, though.
My belief system has grown so immensely in learning about these NDEs and in learning about the afterlife. It is just amazing how quickly your belief system can change as well. I mean, one day you may believe this, and then the next hour you might not go, oh wow, those aha moments that we have and share throughout our life. That's when your belief systems change, and it's so enlightening and lifting, and it eliminates fear. I mean, and I love that. I love growing as a soul. So
Yes.
I want to continue on. Yeah,
What's the word I'm looking for? I don't want to say uplifting for lack of words, but it's
enlightening.
enlightening. Absolutely, yeah, that's a good word. It's enlightening when you start to open up to reality, and you start realizing, start looking at the big picture. You know, I'll be the first to admit I've lived in a box all my life.
Get rid of the box.
You know, I was raised a certain way with certain indoctrination, certain
me too.
religion, certain belief system, and hey, this is how it is, like it or not. And you know, if you don't believe what I say, then you will suffer the consequences. You know, welcome to the world of religion.
That's people caught up in the human form, caught up in the, let's put everything in a box. This is black, this is white. There's no room for anybody else to think anything about it because this is the way it's supposed to be. Well, no, that's your perception of the world.
Yeah. Get you thinking.
It most definitely does.
Moving on along. This next comment. Energy never dies. It just changes forms, and everything has an energetic soul.
Yeah.
So what do you think about that?
Oh, I love it. I mean, it's just so beautiful that it's just energy changing form. I mean, that's all it is.
And FYI, for those listening, animals too are energy, by the way. So
Everything
they
is.
don't die. Next one. Everything is energy.
Wow, there's another one.
Energy doesn't die. Well, there you go. That's almost word for word from the other one. My opinion, based on facts, quantum physics, and faith, there is much we do not know. I believe they live on in a better state of being. That's a nice comment.
Oh, yeah, very.
And again, energy is energy, and energy does not die.
It just transforms.
It transforms. Animals are energy guys. All right.
Everything is.
Next one. Daphne, take that one.
All creation returns to the Creator. Every bit of it. Yes, they are all there.
Reassuring. So is this starting to make sense to you guys out there? You know, if you've lost a loved one, if you lost a loved pet, you know, a family member, and you're kind of really concerned about what's happening, or will you ever see them again, or are they in heaven, or they just die and go back into the ground, and we never see them, and nothing, and this, you know. Well, you know, hopefully this is starting to give you some perspectives that, they're alive. They're well and alive, and you will see them again, and we all, you know, go through those transitions. So. And I like how it says that all creation returns to the Creator. We all go back to that source, every bit of it. And,
Yeah.
and cats are part of the Creator as well. So
You want
and dogs and
Exactly.
animals, pets. Let me umbrella it there. Pets,
Everything.
animals. Yeah, all things. There you go.
All things.
Everything belongs to Source.
Yes, most definitely.
All right, moving on along, Daphne.
Many people that have died and have been revived say that their pets were the first to greet them in heaven.
Oh, that ties in what we had mentioned earlier. We hear stories about that a lot, about, you know, pets being some of the first ones to actually greet them before their family members are. I mean, think about that.
Oh, yeah. It's beauty. There's beauty in that because, I mean, I think back to the pets in different forms that I have had throughout my lifetime. And we're close to all of them. But, you know, I was going through pictures, and there was a picture of this cat that before seeing that picture, I didn't even remember. And it's like, oh my gosh, I remember that now. So that's even though you may have forgotten about a pet, that pet,
It's still there.
that life form was in your life for a reason, to help you grow in some ways for your lessons. So all of those that you remember, all of those that you have forgotten will be there on the other side.
Yeah, so just keep that in mind, guys. If you've had Fluffy with you for the past, 5, 10, 15 years, and all of a sudden they transition, they are well, and, there's probably a good chance they're going to be greeting you when you get to the other side. So that is something to look forward to. So if you can really start visualizing that and start looking at that and seeing that, instead of looking at the animal as dead right here in this, right here in front of your face, just kind of back up, look at the big picture, and know that they just transitioned, they're alive, they're on the other side, and they will be part of your greeting committee, either by themselves or with the family, but they'll be greeting you there as well.
Most definitely. And I think about this with you saying that. I have read and I have heard that even on this plane, after they have transitioned, there are people that have lost a cat, for example, and feel a cat brush up against them, or hear a purr of a cat in a certain place in their home where their cat used to stay.
Yeah.
And other people in the house hear that same exact thing. So there are little signs that they are still energy. They are still here to comfort us.
And their energy's still around.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Wow. Get you thinking.
It really does. It really does. And there's so much beauty in that, and it brings comfort to people, So yes, I love it.
It does. Okie dokie. Now, this next one's a little lengthy. Let me go and take this. It says, as a veterinarian technician for over 30 years, I have to say, definitely. Okay, so now keep this in mind. Now we
Here's
have a professional.
technician. Yes.
Yes, a veterinarian, which is, working with these animals for 30 years. Over 30 years. Over 30 years. They say, I have seen and felt the spirits of animals going upwards. I had a dog come in that had been hit by a car. Injuries were too bad for surgery, and the family chose to euthanize. Afterwards, I went outside to gain my composure, and out of the corner of my eye, I saw that dog running towards me.
Wow.
Wagging his tail and smiling. I will never forget that day. It still gives me chills when I think about it.
This is somebody that has not had probably experienced an NDE
No.
or any kind of knowledge of this, and is experienced what I was just talking about, the different, letting you know that, hey, they're here.
Absolutely. Now,
Wow.
to go with that thought, we have a wonderful soul scheduled to come on the podcast here in the near future. Actually, we're in the process of wrapping up some of his books. He's because we also do book publishing too, by the way, and he's one of my clients. But we do have him scheduled, and when I went in here and started reading his material and started editing the book and formatting and really looking into it, incredible story. But he talks about how he had a pet dog and how that dog had passed, and then it came back, and stories about that he experienced. But anyway, he in this one of his stories, it's called "Raised in Both Worlds." How since he, as a child at 4 years of age, has been back inside and out of the spirit world and having all kind of spiritual experiences. His whole family, and it's a mind-blowing experience. So we do have him, but we've become really good friends.
I cannot wait.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I'm putting a plug in. I don't want to say just too much just yet right now, but the more information we get as we get closer, and I get permission from him, then we'll start promoting it more and advertising, and I'll give you guys a date. But his story is about one of his stories about that. So we will have a first-hand person coming on telling the story.
Oh yeah, and there's such beauty in that, and comfort to know that our fur babies, our pet loved ones, are in the afterlife with us.
Absolutely.
When we transition ourselves.
Yeah. So that the reason why I kind of mentioned the guy coming on about him having the experience with his dog is to kind of tie in that last comment. The veterinarian, 30+ years, was outside, and then that dog came running up to him in that spirit form. That's just to show you that we are going to have a first-hand experiencer coming on to really reinforce that, to let you know, hey, this stuff is real. Moving on along, Daphne, would you like to take the next one?
Sure. And it's a winded one, so bear with me. Okay. Case in point. I was getting my dog's food ready one morning A few days after Freeman, the red and white basset hound, had died, I opened the door and stepped down to put the food bowls on the ground for my other 4 dogs, and right there in front of me stood my dog Freeman, with his long tail standing tall and wagging. In my rush to get off to work, I had not computed what I was seeing, and looking right at him in the eyes, just like the thousands of times before. In fact, I remember marveling at how youthful Freeman looked. He no longer had the old white hairs washing out his solid red patches. He was a youthful red and white hound. He was so happy to see me. Continuing my routine, I stepped into my laundry room again and closed the door. As soon as I did, it hit me that I had just seen a ghost. I swung the door back open, but he had vanished. I always thought how strange it was how my other dogs seemed to be aware of his presence because their physical bodies weren't encroaching on his space. They had all congregated at the door, 4 basset hounds, a lab, and Freeman waiting to be fed. I'll never forget that. He was completely solid. He interacted with me. He reacted to me. I had lots of other wild experiences with paranormal and spiritual stuff.
Wow, that sounds almost like the guest we got coming on.
Yeah.
Wow. So, this guy had a dog that had passed away or transitioned, and not thinking, he went out there to feed the other dogs one morning. Mm-hmm. Went out there, and the one that passed away was there with him. So he went and fed all of them and didn't think nothing of it, right? And went about his business, and then it dawned on him, wait a minute, that dog had passed away or died a few days ago or whatever, or didn't say how long ago before the actual experience. I don't recall.
Days.
Just days. Okay. So, had transitioned over, and they realized, oh my gosh, I actually saw a ghost.
Yeah, exactly. And think about this. The other dogs were aware of the presence of him because they weren't overcrowded. You know how dogs, when you feed multiple dogs, they're all spaced apart. They have their little space between them. And this Freeman was right up in the middle of them, and they were all right there present together, waiting on their food.
Tell me that's not tuned into spirit. Those animals, the animals are so tuned into spirit.
They are. They're highly spiritual, aware of other spirits, yeah.
Yeah, you hear all kind of stories of animals. They're so tuned into that spirituality. They're tuned into stuff that we've even lost a lot of our tuning into along the way. They're very tuned into that spiritual world.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Beautiful. So that goes to show you. So these animals, we're having experiences of people actually losing the animal, and then the animals coming back and visit them in some kind of form. These are real phenomena, and this happens a lot. This isn't just a couple segregated cases. And again, we do have somebody coming on to reinforce that. Now, moving on along, every living thing has a soul, even trees and flowers.
No, we talked about that earlier.
Etc. Absolutely. And I believe there is a place where souls gather to meet and be reborn again. How arrogant are we to think that the only valid consciousness is the human consciousness? Daphne?
Thank you. This person so gets it.
They get it. Yeah. In fact, they hit on a lot of cylinders that you were talking about earlier, and we've covered in this podcast already.
Right. This actually reminds me of a video that I was listening to recently, and they were saying how in their NDE they were looking upon this field and seeing like different people popping in and becoming an animal, a different animal popping in and becoming a human. And what they determined in that was returning from incarnations.
All these different life forces.
All the different life forms coming back to spirit form. So there, you have your experiencers that have seen the different reincarnation from animal to human. And I never once believed in that when I was in the church. I'm like, that is not real. That's just something all these different religions made up to comfort people. Well, in learning about all this, my belief system has definitely changed, and I do believe in reincarnation. So if we...
And you have a different understanding of it, too, than the mainstream that used to be taught us reincarnation.
Exactly.
That it was
yes.
a karma base that you have to come back and do. No, there's more to it than that. And we'll leave that for a different episode.
Right. And I love that this person gets it and it says every living thing, everything has a soul. Trees and flowers, etc. What were we talking about earlier? I mean,
Trees.
they're a spirit form as well. Yeah. It's going to return after this present incarnation.
Yep, that's my understanding as well.
Yeah, I mean, and there's such beauty in that. I mean, everything is one. We have to realize this. And you know, really think about this, and we've commented on this before, but how, this person says, how arrogant are we to think that the only valid, quote unquote, consciousness is the human consciousness?
Very good, very good. So let's move on. We've got time for one more, and it's going to be the last comment here, and we'll go ahead and wrap things up. But this has been a really good episode. I mean, some really good insight here, and hopefully it's been some, things to give people things to think about, for the listeners, and especially if you've lost a loved one or lost a little pet buddy or something, and just to be reassured that you didn't lose anything, and you will feel, you will feel the loss here in the present, but you will be reunited, from my understandings, so let's go ahead and wrap up. We got one more here, and I'll go ahead and wrap this up with this last comment. It says that all living things bear light on some level. Mm-hmm. Okay, ties in with everything we went over. This suggests to me that the consciousness of all things do not share the same fate as their physical bodies. What dimension or place we all end up, I think, well, keep that in mind, there's a disclaimer there, I think, is related to the laws of energy. So beyond here, I can't say for sure. But astroplaning has taught me a lot about the acceptance of the trajectory of all souls. Be at peace now, and peace after the journey should come with a little cost to your heart's relationship with your loved ones, furry or otherwise.
Yeah.
Any concluding comments, Miss Daphne?
Yeah, this person gets it as well, whether it's furry or otherwise. I mean, we all are going to reconnect on the spiritual side.
And then maybe come back and experience other ways of growing or something. I don't know.
Yeah,
in other words, it doesn't just stop. Like, in other words, we transition one on the other side. Bam, that's it. Okay, we're with our pets again. Life's over. No. You just don't know where you go from there.
You choose where. No, that's the point. You choose where you go next. Whether it's this universe, another universe, their dimension. You, as a soul, as a spirit, choose your path. From what I'm understanding,
with the committee's,
yes,
guidance. From what I understand, and you don't just say, "Okay, I'm going to do this." No. I say, "Well, here's what you need to learn. Here's what you need to grow at. Here's where you're weak. Here's what you're at." And this is.
But it's all free choice.
But it's your choice.
Yes.
Yeah. So, and you're like, yeah, I want to go because the soul wants to grow.
Exactly. And we don't have to come to the earth plane. There's other dimensions and universes.
For growing and learning.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
So, and the little pets as well.
Yeah.
They're going to keep on going, and, because everything is energy. So hopefully you guys can have a little bit of a different perspective on things now, and, and our condolences to your illusion of loss, but, they're not lost. There's no loss there. You will see these little guys and gals again. So. Oh,
most definitely. All of our loved ones that we've lost in this existence.
The illusion of death.
Yeah.
It's all a transition, guys. All a transition. So, okay. Now, before we go ahead and wrap things up, we're going to go ahead and let Daphne share those actual references with you that she has gotten, and that way you can maybe go ahead and look into it. If you guys want to, dig a little bit further into actual resources, she's going to go ahead and leave those with you, and we'll go ahead and wrap things up. How's that sound, Daphne?
That sounds great. I want to make the comment on this. The question that was asked for this topic on pets in the afterlife. This feed has over 1,600 comments.
Wow.
We just took some of the top ones that related to the spiritual form of everything on the other side. So, that being said, a lot of these books were mentioned in these comments.
Okay.
So,
good.
That's why I have the book references here.
Perfect.
But I haven't read any of these books. There's my disclaimer.
Okay.
But they came highly recommended. So the first one, and it's only, I got the top 5. The Rainbow Bridge, Pet Loss is Heaven's Gain, Cold Noses at the Pearly Gates, a book of hope for those who have lost a pet.
Oh,
Animals and the Afterlife, true stories of our best friend's journey beyond death.
that sounds interesting.
It does. Will I See Fido in Heaven? Scripturally revealing God's eternal plan for his lesser creatures.
Oh, that sounds very interesting. I'd love to have that one.
Yeah, The Loss of a Pet, a guide to coping with the grieving process when a pet dies.
Oh.
And these books offer perspectives and comfort and insights into the topic of pets in the afterlife. And they are based on personal experiences, spiritual beliefs, and the research that has been done to making these books. So,
Awesome.
yeah, and you go, do the research and read the reviews on them. Read the information on the book itself. Whatever resonates with you, take that and get the book if you want to read it. I mean, there's lots of information on YouTube as well,
Right.
on the topic of pets in the afterlife as well. So there's
Sure.
all kinds of research out there for those of you who
And
are
resources,
grieving
yeah.
from the loss of your loved one.
Very good, very good. Thank you so much for sharing those, by the way, Daphne.
Oh, most definitely. You're welcome. I mean, we all, if anybody's anything like me, I love to read and research. I'm always got my nose stuck in a book, which you see me like that a lot with my glasses on in there. So, yeah, I mean, I love to grow as a soul and learning about these things from pets to humans in the afterlife. I mean,
All creation.
yes, all creation. Do the research. It's out there. It's so enlightening and so fulfilling to know that there's so much more out there than just this physical form that we're experiencing.
Well said, well said. I love that. Well, on that note, let's go ahead and wrap things up. And we thank you all for tuning in with us today on the NDE World Podcast. And don't forget to go to the website, nde.world, for more information. We love you guys so much, and may peace be with you all. Until next time.
Y'all let your light shine.
For information about the NDE World Podcast, visit NDE.world. That's NDE.world.